If you follow either of them on social media, you probably think, oh wow, they're doing so well, they have it all together, they've launched all these different platforms and they look like they're really paving their way. But I really just want to thank you again for the transparency today, because I feel like we don't have enough of it. And usually I don't get overwhelmed by social media, but I have this week for some strange reason. And just hearing both of you just be honest and share that it's just all smoke and mirrors is big encouragement. So I just kind of want to just ask, you mentioned, show balance on social media, but practically, how do we do that? Who wants to go first?
I think it's about making a choice, first of all, what you want your page to look like, I guess. Some people use their pages just solely for business, some it's personal. Obviously my personal account, it's me. I choose to allow it to portray who I am, and everything that is on there is me. So it's me as a brand. So whether I choose one day to put up, one day I've got a bridal consultation, I'll do that one day. Or another day I'll put up, one of my travels, or one day something from Foundation Tamar. It's my page. And I think it's kind of not feeling pressured, which is what allows me to kind of put out what I want to. I don't know if that makes sense. So I don't feel pressured by anyone on social media. My page is me, I am my own brand. And because of that, I choose what I want to put out there, which is all of me. So I think it's just about kind of choosing what your page is, what you kind of want people to, what you want to put out there. And after making that choice, you kind of take those, automatically kind of just take those practical steps. And because obviously I've chosen to, my page is Rachael Asamba, and Rachael Asamba is what you're going to get. So sometimes I post something, sometimes people call me and they're like, oh, so I haven't seen anything going on with like your bridal stuff. I'm like, oh, it's my page, you know what I mean? Like, I'm choosing to put up what I want to. Some days I put this, some days I put that. It's just me as a whole. But yeah, I guess it's a choice that you have to make, what you put out there. Yeah, and that power of social media is there to allow us to make that choice.
I guess the thing with social media is when you think people aren't watching, they actually are. And so I haven't done for a while, just because I've just been so busy managing other brands' social networks and stuff, but I used to put out a lot of quotes and things. I remember one day, I can't remember, I think I just went on this rant on Facebook. I can't remember what it was that triggered this rant. And I just remember about 3 different people messaging me going, oh my God, why did you put that up, Annika? Are you okay? Where's your morning motivational quote? Kind of thing. And so it made me laugh because I was like, oh my God, people actually are watching. And I knew it anyway, but I was like, oh, let me just delete that. Because I thought if these 3 people took time to, 2 of them to ring me and 1 of them to message me, then there's lots of people that have read this and thought the same thing that didn't even get in touch. And so I guess the thing is with social media, like Rachael said, it's about deciding kind of what your purpose is for social media. And I don't put all of me on social media because that's not what I use it for. I've never been one of those, I'm not a vlogger, I'm not an influencer in the way that I want to share my life with every aspect of my life with people online. But there are people out there that are like that. But for you, if you're kind of wanting to build your platform, or if you're starting a business or just want to try and engage your audience, I guess some advice I would give to you is think about what your values are and what your morals are and what you want to put out online. Think about the words that you want associated with things that you do, And then you can think about the content, the kind of content that you put out that way. So if actually you think you want to, you know, what you do is inspirational or motivational, or, you know, you want to show ambition, all the content that you put out should be featured around that. If you're actually a kind of funny person and humour's your thing, then a lot of the content you put out there could be around that. So it's about thinking about that. So maybe just think about like 3 to 6 keywords that you associate with you, and put out content on that subject. And again, just sometimes to have that balance, it could just be actually using a schedule tool like Sprout Social or Hootsuite to kind of schedule some of your posts so that you spend less time on social media, and that actually it's just you've set certain things up that can go out there and that you can post, rather than you thinking that I have to be on here every day doing this when you don't always want to be. Obviously there'll be times when you'll need to kind of put things up manually if something, maybe an event's happened in the world, or you've got something that you just need to do now. But there are tools out there to help us to kind of draw us away from kind of that instantaneousness of being on social media all the time.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience have any questions that they want to ask? Yeah.
Thanks both. It's been really, really interesting so far, and so many interesting points discussed. I was just wondering, because you both spoke a lot about being around people with the right energy in like your circle of friendship, what your thoughts are around. So I think that's really important, but also the idea of like when you have your cup full, then that's when people come and take that. So thinking about like energy vampires, if you want to call them that, like how do you find that balance of like, especially I think, again with women as well, like people are always looking for that energy, and then when you have that, people will want to take that away. So do you have any tips or advice around protecting that almost, and like maybe it's linked to some of what you said, Rachel, around taking time to be alone as well?
The practical steps that I personally take is every single week I take time for myself, no one else but me. I recently started doing this, so every Thursday I go to my leisure centre, and they have Women's Day, and I go there, I use the gym, and then I go for a swim, and then I go for a sauna, steam room, and even though it's it's Women's Day, and you sit in the sauna or you sit in the steam room and you meet someone from Bangladesh and you meet someone from Somalia and you have a little chat and so on, and even though it will seem like you're now engaging with others, even though I said it's all for yourself, but for me it's like I'm actually gaining from that, leaving home, going for Women's Day, meeting people from around the world. It makes me feel great, and because people know it's Women's Day, they come there, because it's enjoyable, and you go home, you feel great, you've met people and so on. So I kind of like take the time every Thursday for myself. Thursdays used to be for something else. I used to have another commitment on Thursdays, and it now just seemed to be the best day suitable for myself, so I cut that out, even though it seemed to be important, but I am more important than that. So I think it's about just choosing for practical steps for myself. I chose a day, if it's a day that you want to, choose a day where you're like, even if it's not the entire day, maybe it's, I don't know, from when you get home from work, or I don't know, an hour before work, you will feel great because you know that you've taken steps towards your own growth, and protecting that peace, especially like if you're leaving before work, take that time out every day, maybe, whether it's 30 minutes, to do what makes you feel at peace and to give you that calm. And you see that when you're leaving home, you stay in that bubble, and it's like no matter what frustration comes your way, it's like you started your day right, how you mean to go on. So yeah, just choosing when to focus on yourself.
A lot of the time when we have kind of friends around us that have bad energy, you kind of end up changing yourself, and actually we shouldn't change ourselves, we need to change our circle if those kind of energy vampires are there, because ultimately, as you said, your cup is overfull and they feel that energy, and so they want to be part of it, which is great. But if they are always taking, then actually that means they're not a good friend. And so if they're not a good friend, why keep them around in your life? And sometimes friends pass their sell-by date, and we need to know when to let go. They say God brings people into our life for a reason, but also the devil brings people into our life for a reason. So whether that's obviously God for good, devil for hate. So it's knowing actually which of these people that we need to get rid of out of our lives. And so those people, I think with friends, if you can't be honest with friends and then actually and tell them this is what you're doing, you're kind of zapping my energy, you're not kind of giving anything back, it's always, and they can't hear that and try and change how they are, then it's about having that honest conversation and saying, actually, we can't be friends anymore. And also, there's a lot of people that have friends that are really judgmental, and again, there's enough criticism in the world, particularly being a black woman and the kind of images we see in the media. We don't need that in our kind of friendship or family circle, even family. There might be blood, but it doesn't mean that we have to keep toxic relationships around us. If family members, again, are energy vultures too, again, it's just about having that mindset, actually, and just cut them off. Because ultimately, you've got to do what's best for you. People see selfishness as a bad thing, but actually sometimes you need to be selfish and do what's best for you, for your own mental health and sanity, and also for you to be able to kind of get on in life. So just don't be afraid to cut people off in your life that aren't adding value.
Any other questions? Yep.
Rachael and Annika, I think you are both amazing women. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. I think you're both amazing women, and thank you for being so transparent today. A quick question for you both, mainly at Annika though, because you do a lot of work by way of uniting black women in Britain. I feel like there's still a lot that needs to be done. I feel like there is a sisterhood that's emerging, but I don't think that is as closely connected, and I don't feel although we do try to be, and there's lots of women that really do, I'm not sure that we're as supportive of each other as we could be. So what do you think we could all do in this room to take practical steps to build more of a black British female sisterhood?
That's another reason why I started the Black Magic Awards, but then also one of the things that I have always wanted to do is to kind of build that sisterhood, because I love watching the American movies where you see the sororities and things, and you see the sisterhood that they have there, and I want that for us. And so I think it is about kind of having spaces and places like this where we all can come together, but then having a place where kind of maybe online where we can all kind of get together and help each other and things, because men do it, but also they help each other get ahead. If they hear a good job, they'll recommend somebody, or they'll put their name forward. And as women and as black women, we need to start doing these things for each other and being strategic with how we help each other and we get ahead. And so we do need to build that sister circle that and help each other for us to be kind of continue to be queens and rise up that ladder. Because yes, there's a big gap in gender pay, and that becomes worse when you're black and you're a woman as well. And so we need these spaces where we can be open and honest with each other about what's going on in the workplace, what's going on in our personal lives. And so to do that, I think it all starts with you as an individual and trying to support each other. So, if friends are friends, or you see things online that are happening, buy a ticket to that event. It doesn't hurt for you to share an event on social media. Like, that's free. It's free. And so many times I see people and I'll be like, luckily I said my circle's strong. They know, they're like, if I'm doing something, even if it's the ones in Birmingham and they know that they can't even make it to the event, they will share the event on their page, they will tell people about this event and they will talk about it. That is free. Like, we can help people out just by doing that, and that does not cost anything except a couple of seconds or even minutes of your time. Talking to each other and not being afraid to talk to each other. Sometimes, we have our guard up a bit too much. And so, it's okay to kind of let our guard down and not always think that people are out to kind of to get us or to hurt us. Just be open. Obviously, I'm a big believer in giving people a chance, and you give them that chance. And then obviously, if they do something to kind of hurt you or to go against then that's when you're like, okay, actually, I gave you the opportunity, and move on and things. But I think there's lots of different things that we can do as women to empower each other and to get together and to help each other kind of fulfill our potential. So I'd definitely be happy to kind of discuss with people ways and means that we think we can do that as a community, because one thing's for sure is that we have so much money to spend as a community, even though there's not as many of us kind of in the UK as there is in other parts of the world. We still have a huge spending power here, and what we do has an impact. And I think we forget that, and our power as a community. There was an article online the other day, and it was one of those kind of like, no shit Sherlock, where it said, black women are, are the coolest women out there, and everybody follows what we do. We set the trends, and it was like, of course we do, because we're amazing. And so I think as women and as black women, we need to remember and realise our power. We have a lot of power and we forget that, and so we need to start coming together more and actually actioning that power. So I'm definitely up for kind of speaking to all women here in the room and outside that have ideas in terms of how we can connect and build and really show the power that we have as a community, as a black community, but in particular as a British black community.
Any more questions? Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, in terms of when you talk about largely white-dominated newsrooms, how would you say that women of colour can break into those spaces if they aren't able to do free work experience? Because that's the main barrier for people that come from working class backgrounds, is how do I have a career in journalism if I can't work for free?
The good thing today is that actually there are quite a few training schemes out there that you can apply for. So ITV have a news training scheme, BBC have journalism training schemes. A lot of the major broadcasters now have them, particularly for black talent, because they know that actually a diverse workplace makes improves any work environment. And if you go in an organisation where everybody in there looks the same, came from the same universities, has the same mindset, then actually that's why you don't get difference. That's why you get the same old content appearing on TV, because it's all the same people thinking and doing the same things. So actually you need that difference to achieve greatness. And so people do realise that. And it's something that's still going to be slow, because from when I started up till now it hasn't changed that much, but there are more opportunities out there to get work experience. Now, the government have made a lot of things illegal for people to do, so you can't work for free for as long as, people before would be working for free for 6 months, a year, 2 years, all for free. And now it's, illegal for companies to do that. Even Google have kind of digital training schemes and things, and they all want diverse talent and workforces. And a lot of the time I find that as black people, it goes back to what I said about limiting beliefs. We think that we're not going to get that job, so why even bother applying for it? And also, a lot of the recruiters sometimes don't even know where to go to find people like us that want to do these roles. So we have to go to them. So also don't be afraid to, even if you're not seeing the opportunities out there online, don't be afraid to, this is the generation now where contacts are at our fingertips. We can go on LinkedIn, we can go on Twitter, we can go on Facebook, we can find anybody today. In the 80s and 90s when people were coming up, they had to do things by letter, handwritten. And then it went to computers, then it had email. Now you can just go and send people a tweet. And there's lots of times where maybe I might have emailed somebody and they haven't got back to me. I'm like, let me holler at this person on Twitter or Instagram. And then they're like, okay. And it's like, they see that though. and they respond. So there's no harm in just saying to somebody, can we meet for a coffee so I can pull your ear on how to get my foot in the door? Now, even 2 weeks ago, I went to an International Women's Day event, and there was a lady there from Google who's like the lifestyle director. And although I've done kind of projects for Google. I've never kind of like, I was like, I feel like I could make a big impact in there. So I said to her, so I think I could make a big impact in Google doing communications. So how can we talk? And she gave me her email address and was like, get in contact with me. Let's see what we can make happen. And so I've emailed her, and she has got back to me and said, what kind of things do you think you can do? So that conversation and dialogue has been opened. Something may come from that, something may not, but ultimately, I'm a big believer in if you don't ask, you don't get, and a lot of the time we don't ask in the first place. So just start asking, and what's the worst that can happen? They say no, and if they say no, fine, you move on, and there will be a yes eventually. So every no isn't, maybe that wasn't meant to be for you, and then that yes will come along, and that was meant to be the thing for you.
Does anyone else have a question? Oh, okay. Anyone else? Okay, I'll let you go. Okay, sure.
So I just want to quickly add that I basically run a women's network for women who are interested in technology, entrepreneurship. So if anyone...
What's it called?
And basically it's all about encouraging collaboration between women, and it's really good conversation. So if anyone's interested in that, I'm happy to connect you, because I think that's really important, especially among Black women supporting each other. I see every single other race do it way more than Black women do it. So my question is basically about that, like, what do you think? I think to really understand that issue, we have to get to the root cause. So we need to understand what was it that maybe in our parent generation stopped them from forming those bonds. Because when I look at my mum, I think about her business, and I think about when she was looking for support. People always criticise before they're willing to help people, and we always divide. Even amongst Nigerians, we'll say, oh, but she's from that tribe, she does that. So what do you think are the core reasons that stopped maybe this like community that we're trying to form, and then maybe we can think about ways we can combat it going forward. Throwing a lot at you.
I wouldn't know, I think there's so many reasons why things are the way they are. But I think that one of the things that I've picked up with us as Black women is that we're very, I don't know, so Annika just said a few moments ago that when we look maybe to go towards someone, we may be thinking in our minds already before they've said a word, this person may be against me, or we've already kind of made up our mind on this person without this person saying a word to us. And I think that's one of our biggest issues. I think that may come from, I feel like we have a lot of pressure on us, and having a lot of pressure, that brings out energy. And so sometimes we may be reading the wrong energies. Sometimes it may just be this person's tired, or this person has a lot going on. And because we all know, and it's, in this day and age it's coming out, we're being more transparent about our struggles as Black women, we kind of have to consider the fact that it may not be what it looks like. This person actually might be having a hard day today. And when we look at it as that, and we don't see it for what we're seeing, or, sometimes we do have that face that maybe sometimes makes some of us a bit intimidated, or, do you know what I mean? It's the truth. And so it makes us, not want to go forward and not want to communicate with one another and connect with one another. But if we kind of look past that and say to ourselves, cool, this person might have that going on, it is a struggle and it might affect her day to day. So let me kind of look past that and still go beyond that and still connect with you either way. And like Annika said, if it was what you were thinking, or don't even go with it thinking that way, but if it was what you were thinking, you gave that person a chance. But I think it's just trying to look past what we see with one another and still connecting no matter what, and still, smiling at one another no matter what, and coming to these events no matter what prejudgment or whatever it is that they've said about us, or whatever you've heard about us. And that's not just for us as Black women, that's also to white people also, how whatever they've heard or whatever they think they know, it's like, look past it. Do you know what I mean? Come to these things to understand us. And even us ourselves, we don't really know why we kind of act the way we do. Sometimes we find that we're conditioned to move the way we move. And so we need these things so that we can hear somebody say something that triggers us. And it's like, okay, I do this. I need to stop doing that. So it's about kind of like finding the root causes and just plucking them all out one by one. And I think that would be something that would help a lot, you know, looking past what we're seeing and what it's kind of meant to be, or
you know, I guess when you think about history, and I guess even when you go back as far as slavery, there's a lot of things that happened during that time that, you know, throughout history have gone down from generation to generation, and that are still in us today. So there's a kind of whole crabs in a barrel mentality where, you know, about trying to get ahead, where you might be in a work environment, and actually because, you know, we're in an environment where there's probably no other black people and there's one of us, and then another one comes in, and then some people kind of, I guess, feel threatened by that because you feel like actually the organisation only want one person of colour in there, and so you're like, oh, and so some people get worried a bit about that, and so then you don't want to be friends with that person when actually that person could probably be an ally within the organisation, but then you end up putting up this wall. And so it's about kind of thinking about these things, because helping somebody else on their way up isn't going to stop you shining. So it's just kind to start thinking about that, because actually, you know, if you help them, you don't know down the line how they can help you. I'm a big believer in treating people how you want to be treated, because that person who, you know, is a runner or is a secretary today can be the CEO tomorrow. And people may not remember what you say, but they'll remember how you made them feel and the things that you did for them. So as black women and as people in general, we need to kind of start thinking about this. You know, our parents' generation, if you think about it, they had it hard. They came to, you know, England at a time where, you know, they were trying to find somewhere to live, and they were experiencing no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. You know, they couldn't get bank loans they couldn't get, you know, loans from the bank to be able to secure a house, or to, you know, they were having to do menial jobs even if they were qualified. There was a lot of things that they were going through where actually it was every man for themselves, because you had to look after yourself and your family, and so you were just putting yourself first. And you know, all these things have an effect on how we are today. And yes, we still have lots of struggles and lots of things in terms of the world being better when it comes to kind of diversity and opportunities for women and us as black people. However, it's about starting thinking about what are the things that we can do to make things better for each other. So, you know, not if someone's, you know, working in an organisation, you know, thinking about actually just going and saying hello to that person. You know, I know it's always annoying when if you start somewhere and, you know, maybe the HR person says, oh, you're really going to like Tanika. She's your sort of person, and you're thinking, yeah, because Tanika's black, I'm going to like her. And I think it's stuff. So, but ultimately, she might not be your cup of tea, but you know, she understands what you're going through as that black experience. So she might not be your friend, but at least I think it's about trying to not necessarily form a relationship, but making sure you have dialogues with people in whatever environment you're in, just to try and start opening the doors and paving the way for each other. Hence why, as I go back to kind of like the Black Magic Awards and even the podcast that I do, it's about being able to tell our stories and our successes and our challenges, so that we can really hear the truth and hear the reality and have that safe space to be real about what it is that we're going through, where it is about you know, thinking about kind of starting a family and motherhood, where it is mental health, whether it is sexual abuse, all things that happen within our community, and some things that we don't even want to talk about. So it's just about starting that communication. I think that's where it starts, from communication.
Okay. Sorry, Jamila, you wanted to add something?
Or maybe
Just
not.
quickly, yeah, last question.
You both shared your journeys, which were really, really interesting, about how you got to the point where you are now. What's one moment in time that you can think of that made you realise that you're completely aligned and you're doing the right thing and you're on the right path?
Is there a moment that made me realise I was on the right path? I don't know if there's a moment, because I think we all have our doubts sometimes, even me, like in terms of, oh, am I doing the right thing, or am I making the right decision, am I going in the right direction? But as I said, I think one of the things I go off is energy and how I'm feeling and how my spirit takes to things. And so it's like at the moment I'm working on a project where in the beginning I loved it, but again the people at the top have kind of just sucked the life out of me on this project, and I'm not feeling inspired, so I really can't wait just to finish and get out and continue working on the other projects that I do on the side, because again I know how I feel and my energy, and so I'm a big believer in kind of the spiritual side of things. In, you know, your body kind of tells you how you feel about things. You know, if you're happy, you're kind of relaxed and you're joyous. If you don't like something, you kind of feel it in your stomach and you tense up and things. So it's about thinking. So I think about how I'm feeling about things that I've done, and there's lots of times where I've sat there and I've like, oh my God, that was amazing. Where maybe I worked on a project where I was training a group of young people in film and TV production, and then we did a pop-up shop in central London where I had lots of different artists come down and do in-stores, like the likes of Kano and Getz and Asamba came down, and lots of people. And at the end of that project I was like, oh my God, this was amazing. We helped so many young people, we had such a fantastic turnout, and I was just really proud of what I've achieved. So I think it's just more moments where I know the kind of projects that I'm passionate about and that I want to work on, and that's what I want to do more of. And they're the times when I'm at my happiest. And so I don't think there's kind of one moment. I think with anyone there's kind of always ups and downs, but I just go off my kind of intuition and how I'm feeling to know if I'm in the right space and place.
Rachel?
I went to a girls' school. It's my secondary school. It was a girls' school, and so growing up, I always felt inside me from a very early, really, really early age that I was meant to help people. And in school, going to a girls' school, kind of being a bit like, I didn't really have my kind of circle. I was like with this group, with that group, kind of speaking with everyone every year, wherever I was about the place. And so that allowed me to kind of know about quite a lot of people's lives that I went to school with. And what I came to learn whilst at secondary school was a lot of people had been a lot of girls had been sexually abused at my secondary school, and so I kind of started. I was always asking myself, like, why do people always come and tell me their business? Like, why all the time? It was literally constant. Like every day there was somebody else telling me a story that's happened, and the thing is, at the time it didn't seem, it was just, oh wow, but then like as I started growing, everything I started doing was kind of going towards women and helping women. And so like everything that I've started, every project has always somehow turned towards that. I don't think I've ever done so. Like when I was air hosting after school, like after college, it was like I would always on the plane, I would always connect with somebody who is literally struggling or is telling me that they've been abused, or always. So I've always been connected to my purpose all the time. And I think because of that, and because of experiencing all of that at such an early age, it kind of didn't allow me to not do what I was meant to be doing. I was always like, I felt like I had no choice, basically. So, and even if I felt like I was doing something that didn't kind of bring me towards that, it would come to me either way. So for example, if I needed a job in between, maybe it would come. So air hosting, it still came my way. It would always bring me back to women, to sexual abuse. So even with like my bridal wear company, what I do is, so with every purchase, 10%, or it depends, a certain percent will go towards women who have been sexually abused. And so it's like I've always felt like I kind of had no choice, even though it is a choice, but it's just always it's always been about that. So that's all I've ever known. All I've ever known is to walk in my purpose. Yes, yeah.
Ladies, thank you so much for being open, honest, and thank you for your questions, because I feel like it's diverted us in such a good progressive way now. I feel like we can kind of go away and have our own conversations and get back together again next year. And I hope that we're talking about new things, good things, and that we're all ready to come and bring our own solutions. So thank you so much for coming. We're going to do the raffle now, so ladies, you can be seated. Ivan, you can join me.